Hi, welcome to episode 341 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. I'm Laura, also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, and that's where this episode and every episode show notes will be. And I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, where I sell my handspun yarns and knitting patterns. Hi, how are you? It is Monday, August 16th, and it is another week. This week is kind of busy up at the beginning of the week. I have lots going on in the next couple days, and then lots to think about towards the end of the week and work on longer term projects. The weekend was pretty quiet. It has been quite hot around here. Last week we were in a heat index of over 100, and it has been in the 80s and 90s all of the last week. We had some pretty spectacular summer storms last week, and that cooled things off for just a little bit. But otherwise, it has been hot and pretty darn unpleasant. So I have been staying inside in the air conditioning and working on crafty projects. I've been reading. I've just been enjoying a little bit of downtime and a bit of the end of summer, and also gearing up because fall is knitting season. And while I realize fall doesn't traditionally start until mid-September, August is when I start, I start knitting fall samples long before August. But August is when I start thinking about what's in my own wardrobe and stash and what I would like to knit for myself. And the weather is starting to cool, and it's just a very exciting time of year. It's also the time of year that I am busy business-wise because, of course, fall is crafting season. Before it gets cooler, everybody starts crafting. Stores do a lot of their business at this time of year, and everyone is also starting to think about holiday gifts. I know the holidays are still several months away, but of course if you want to craft for your loved ones or friends or yourself, you have to start early. So everything is kind of gearing up. I know lots of people are, kids are heading back to school this week. And so it's starting to get towards fall, and I can feel, not that I had a lot of ennui this summer about knitting, but I can feel that I'm just waiting for the air to turn crisp and to get involved in lots of new knits. I've been dreaming a lot about what I want to cast on when I'm done with the current set of projects, and of course I have 5 or 6 things currently on the needles in progress, so I still have some work to do before I can think about casting on anything else. So today I am channeling autumn with my Cranberry Autumn Harvest tea from Harney and Sons. I actually finished the container this week. That's very exciting for me because I have lots of containers and bits, and so finishing something is always fun. I don't know when I purchased this. It was a while ago, and it had 30 sachets, and so I put the last 5 or 6 of them into iced tea today, and I'm drinking that in my Tervis mug. But basically I just made some really concentrated hot tea, and then I diluted it with ice water, added a bit of sweetener in my own glass, and now I have a pitcher of iced tea for the rest of the week. So that is nice and light and fruity. It is kind of a fall flavor with cranberry, but I feel like it can also be a little bit of a summer flavor because it is, it's nice and fruity. It is a black tea, but it does have cranberry and a little bit of orange in it, so it's really, really nice. So that's what I'm drinking today. And let's move on to the knits. So I am wearing my finished V-back tee, although I'm wearing the V in the front. And this is the 3rd time I've worn it, and I am pleased to say that it is a lovely wear. The fabric is really light and soft, and it's just a really nice tee. I will definitely be making more of these, and I might even have another gradient cake or 2 in my stash, so I might even be making them with the gradient cakes, but I can also picture using some sock yarn leftovers and creating some fun tops out of it. It's just a really nice summer top. So let's talk about the projects I have on the needles. And I basically have new projects. I showed you the beginnings last week, and then also just the yarn for one of them. And so I have progress on all 3. So that has been exciting. The first one that I am knitting is it's called the Easy Like Sunday Morning Sweater. And it is by my friend Ashley, and her last name is Turnbull. Last week I said Reed because she goes by Reed Street Knitting, and I don't know why I said that because I know what her last name is. But Yes, so she goes by Reed Street Knitting on Instagram, and she has a variety of designs she produces for kiddos and for adults. And this is just a very relaxed fit v-neck pullover with 3/4 length sleeves, or kind of elbow length sleeves, and it is knit in a bulky weight cotton. She knit it as she was kind of on a beachy holiday. And so it reminded her of something you would put on as the air cools at the boardwalk in the evening. And I think it will be a wonderful fall sweater, as well as days are still not super chilly, but just a little bit of a chill. I am using Juniper Moon Farm Bud, and that is 100% organic cotton, and it's a little bit of a boucle. I have just a little bit of the yarn to show you here. You can see it is a bulky weight, and then it's just a little bit of a boucle, and I am using the colorway Primrose, which is this really great kind of magenta colorway. And I have made quite a bit of progress. The sweater is worked in the round from the bottom up, and so last week when I showed you, I had knit 2 skeins into the sweater, and I was still working in the round. So I added another skein, a 3rd skein basically, and actually even just a smidge of a 4th. And then what I did is I split for the front and back. And so the front is on one needle. It's just on a holder needle right now. And then I started working on the back, and the back is basically just rectangular, and I am almost done. I have about another inch, and I finished my 4th skein. I just have a little bit of it left. And so I'm just going to go into the 5th skein and do maybe 3 or 4 more rows on the back, and then I will be ready to start the front. The front is worked in 2 pieces for the V, and then it is joined at the shoulders, and the sleeves are picked up and worked down. So I am getting much closer. My guess is I'll use between 6 and 7 skeins. I'll probably have to break into the 7th skein. I am knitting the size medium, which is to fit a 36 to... I do not remember. Okay, so the sizes are sized, I believe, every 4 inches. And this is a kind of big, oversized sweater. So the question is exactly how you want it to fit. She suggests 4 to 6 inches of ease. However, if that is too much ease for you, then you can go down a size and just be a little bit closer to your bust. So I believe the bust for this one is... I want to say it's a 38 to 40, and the finished size is 44 inches. And so I am knitting the 3rd size, which is a medium. It does go from basically, I think, a 28, 30-inch bust, which would be a finished size of almost 34 inches, all the way up to... I want to say a 62-inch bust and 66 stitches. So it has a wide size range, and like I said, every 4 inches. And because it is kind of loose and kind of boxy as a fit, that is not a problem when you're knitting for yourself. I'm wondering if I maybe wanted to go down to the small size because this may be more ease than I want. 6 inches feels like a lot, but we're just going to wait and see. And it's just going to be kind of a great sweater for Sunday mornings. Probably why she called it Easy Like Sunday Morning. I can also see it if it is long enough. I knit mine a little bit on the long side. I can see it if it is long enough wearing it over leggings in the fall, maybe leggings and boots. I just feel like it would be a fun, cozy, around the house sweater, but I would totally go out and knit too. So that is what I'm working on. It is gorgeous. I now have 4 skeins into this, and so I am hoping to maybe finish this week. I'm not sure I will because I have a couple other samples I really need to get done this week. But if I'm not finished by the time we meet again, I will be very, very close because this is working up quickly. I just need an hour or 2 to work through a skein of yarn, and I'm going to be super pleased with the result. I can already tell. So again, that is my Easy Like Sunday Morning sweater. It's a I'm using Juniper Moon Farm Bud, which is a bulky 100% cotton, and it's super, super soft. And this is a pattern that we'll be releasing shortly. The test knitting period was 4 to 6 weeks, which should put us in early to mid-September, and my guess is she will be releasing it then. So that is number 1 on the knit list for this week. Number 2 on the list is something that I showed you last week, and it's not super exciting, but I have made progress. So I showed you last week that I was starting to work on a sock arm sweater for Miles, my nephew, and right now it is a gray tube, basically. I am knitting the body in Dream in Color Smooshy in the colorway Prince William, which is a gray that I think has undertones of a little bit of blue, like a little bit of a slate blue under the gray. It's kind of a medium gray, and I am, as I did before, basically using the, so I'm not using the sock arms pattern. I am using the inspiration for the sock arms pattern, which is a pattern by Telly Bean Knits, who is Stephanie Lotvin. And instead, I am applying it to a top-down raglan sweater pattern, the Flax Light by Tin Can Knits. I don't know precisely why I wanted to do this. I think because in my first iteration of it, which was for Ms. Roxy, my niece, so let me start. The sock arm sweater pattern works in the round from the bottom up, splits for front and back, finishes, put the shoulders together, and then you pick up and knit a sleeve cap and knit down the sleeves. It is called the sock arm sweater because she uses stripy sock yarn for the arms in the sweater, because sock yarn is meant to stripe over small circumferences like socks, and of course your arms are similar in circumference to your feet, and so you get to see all those fun stripes on your sleeves of your sweater. Obviously, if you used stripy sock yarn on your the body of your sweater, because of the larger circumference, the stripes would be thinner. So she just uses them on the arms to have some fun. It also means you can use your favorite Precious sock yarns for your arm sleeves, and then you can just use you could use a more economical yarn for the body, or something that you could buy in a solid colorway if you wanted to. The reason that I decided to modify it is because the sock arm sweater, like I said, is knit in the round from the bottom up, and I was concerned because I was close on yardage on the first one that I wouldn't know precisely when to start, and that if I had to cut length in the body, it would be hard to do working from the bottom up as opposed to the top down. So what I did instead is I used Flax Light, which is a free pattern by Tin Can Knits. It is written, it is sized all the way from baby through adult. And it has some details that I have left out, like some garter stitch panels, but it is a really simple top-down knit in the round raglan, where you're doing raglan sleeve increases, and then you separate the sleeves from the body, you work the body down to the bottom, and then you go back and pick up your stitches and knit your sleeves down. So I am working on the body of Miles' sweater. Like I said, it's kind of a big gray tube, and I added quite a bit. When we spoke last week, I think I was about an inch after the sleeve separation, so I've knit another 6 inches this week, and I did most of that last night. I worked on it while I was on some Zoom calls yesterday evening, and I don't know if I'll get the full length for this size. The length is 12 inches before ribbing. I might, but I am getting closer on the body yarn. I expected that I would use most, if not all, of the skein. So my plan is to just keep knitting until I hit my 12 inches and do my ribbing, or knit until I think I'm close to running out and try and guess enough to keep an inch of ribbing on the bottom. I am not terribly concerned. This won't be a huge problem. I am just going to knit, and if I have to, knit until I run out. So that is probably, hopefully maybe I'll finish the body this week. That would be great. And then I can work on the sleeves, and the sleeves are going to be knit in, let's see if it's over here with me. It is not. Where did I put it? I thought it was over here with me. The sleeves are going to be knit in what I call the Sharknado colorway. It is from Nomadic Yarns on Etsy. And the stripes are red, turquoise, a royal blue, and a gray, which is why I picked the gray for the body. So I'm super excited about this. This is soft and squishy because it's smushy. It's superwash, so I will be able to wash it. And actually, I did wash Roxy's in the washer and dried it in the dryer this week. I do try and knit with superwash yarns for my niece and nephew, and even though not all superwash yarns, it is recommended that you put them in the washer and dryer. I try and keep them easy care for my sister. So, and I always put the garment in the washer and dryer first, so that if anything terrible is going to happen, it happens on my watch and not after I have given the gift, and the children can be disappointed, because worst case scenario, if I have to reknit, it's much better than if they get a beautiful gift that then shrinks in the washer. So, but I am using superwash yarns for this, so it should not be a problem at all. So, as I said, I made about 6 inches of progress, combination Flaxlight sock arm sweater, and I am knitting this otherwise basically per pattern. So, the third project that I have going this week is actually a new cast on, and I showed you this one last week. I showed you the yarn colors. I am knitting a sample for Zen Yarn Garden, and I am using New Navy, Tangerine, and Scallions. Let's see if I can get these. So these are the 3 colors that I am using, and actually it's funny because I held the sample up to my knit group last night and they said it looks like Halloween colors. So this is navy as opposed to purple, but it actually is a good kind of fall color combination. These are all Zen Yarn Garden's Superfine Fingering base, which is, I believe, I think it's 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon. It could be 75-25 or 80-20. I cannot remember. I know, I'm a bad podcaster and I don't have the label right here with me. But it is their superfine superwash base, and they are in these nice semi-solid colorways. So, the pattern that I am knitting is called Positive Vibrations. It is by Marinja Knits, who is Marin Melichor, I think is how she pronounces it. And it is a pattern that has extensive short rowing to create some really, really interesting shapes. So I will show you how I am, at this point, I am through the 6th section in the shawl, and this is what I have so far. So you've got lots of stripes, and it's an asymmetrical, I guess I should show it this way. It's an asymmetrical shawl that is growing each row. And so you're following a fairly standard pattern on it. And then you've got some striping sections, and then you start some fun short row sections with little ones at the beginning, and then medium, and now we've moved into bigger sections. I will say that this is not a beginner knit. It's not super, super complicated, but there are some things that make this not a beginner knit, and I will share them with you now. The pattern itself is pretty much written out line by line by line, particularly in these sections where you have all the short row shaping. And even though the short row shaping is repeated several times across the row, each section of short row shaping takes quite a bit of detail, and each section is written out in full. So the pattern is long, like 17 pages long. I will tell you that while I found that incredibly daunting when I first opened it up, it is knitting up fairly quickly. The first couple pages are photos and kind of some explanations and abbreviations and whatnot, and I am already on page 7, I think, after working through 6 sections. So the pages do go by quickly. The instructions are meticulous, and they are wonderfully written, and so I have not had any trouble working through these sections. However, it is a pattern that requires some concentration, and it does require some knowledge. Most of the short row sections are worked with German short rows, so you're working with double stitches, and then just a few of them are wrap and turns, just in areas where you're sort of transitioning from one motif to the next. So those are some of the challenging bits of this project. There are 2 other things that I will mention, and I don't think I'm giving anything away in doing this. One of the other challenging things is that you are not going to break your yarns throughout the project, so you are going to carry them throughout the project, which means that you need to be vigilant about carrying them and twisting your yarns. I do not end up twisting them every row, and of course some of the motifs are fairly wide, so I have some longer sections where I'm twisting things, and of course at the beginning you can see that I wasn't exactly sure where to start that, and so I have a couple of really long sections here, but you do need to be kind of meticulous in your color management. Your skeins are going to get twisted every so often. I have to go back and untwist them, and then I have to twist them intentionally to sort of lock in the colors that I'm carrying with me. The shawl is tight on yardage, as in it's going to use Well, for one of the balls, it's going to use basically all of it, and for the other two, it's going to use 80 to 85% based on her calculations. So I did not want to waste any time cutting my yarns at the edges, and not waste any yardage cutting the yarns at the edges and having to weave in the ends, but also it's much nicer to knit without having to weave in the ends. And she does have you change the colors in a way so that it's not right at the edge of the shawl, it's actually in just a little bit from the border. The final thing that is a little bit challenging about this knit is that it treats double stitches slightly differently than I am used to them. In German short row techniques, basically, it tells you how far to knit, and then it says you're going to turn your work and make a double stitch. And usually what this means is if it says knit 4 and then you're going to turn and do the double stitch, you knit 4 and you turn, and that last stitch you worked becomes the double stitch as you pull it over your work. In this particular pattern, and it took me a little experimenting to find out, when she says knit 16 double stitch, she basically means you're going to knit 16, then you're going to knit one more, and that one is going to become your double stitch. And I have found that is not, I could be wrong, but I have found that is not traditionally the way that short rows are knit. And so it took me a little bit to figure that out, and I was struggling a little bit with, I have an extra stitch at the end of the row. Why do I have an extra stitch? So I think I'm on track now, and this will only grow over the next couple weeks, and I'll be excited to share it with you. It is a challenging knit. If you like knits that sort of take up your concentration and give you something fun to work on, learning new techniques, creating interesting shapes, this is definitely a knit for you. As I said, it's not super complicated, but it is detailed. You need to be able to concentrate, and you need to be comfortable reading your knitting. So I would definitely say this is an advanced beginner or an intermediate pattern. But that is what I am working on, and I'm excited about that, and I'm really excited as I start to see more of these sections take shape. So this will be on my needles for a bit longer. My guess is you'll see this a few more times because this will definitely not be done by the end of the month. I don't think I'll have enough time to devote to it because the sections take a little while. So, but that is what I'm working on. Again, that is Positive Vibrations by Marinja Knits, and I am using Zen Yarn Garden Superfine. In the colorways are New Navy, Scallions, and Tangerine. So, and those are just going to be bright and fun. So that is most of what I have to show you this week. I did not get to my spinning wheel this week. I am really hoping that maybe I will in the coming week, or if not this week, certainly next week. I have a really big sample for Knit Picks that is almost done. I have just a couple more sections to work on, and then that will be done and out the door. And that has been kind of a big, it has been a big project consuming my time. And once that is out the door, I feel like I'll have a little breathing space on all of these other projects. There are many things I would like to cast on, but I think I'm going to hold off until I finish 2 of the projects I currently have on the needles before I go ahead and cast another one on, because I have so much on the needles right now, it's a little overwhelming, and I have to pick 2 or 3 projects a night, and I don't get to touch everything every night, which means everything gets done more slowly. Usually if I have 2 or 3 projects going, I can hit most of them almost every night. The final project that I'm working on is I have more chickens. So last time you saw me, or 2 times ago, I shared with you Brownie, who was really lush dark chocolate browns, some golden caramel and white. And I feel like this is almost the mirror opposite. This one reminds me of toasted marshmallows in that it is mostly white, but we get a little bit of that kind of toasty brown there, and then just a little bit of black, which is, you know, like if you were toasting marshmallows, just a little bit of that char in those sections that you get really toasted. So I do not spin this yarn, but this yarn comes to me to be knit up into panels, which we call chicken feathers, even though they're not feathers. I am knitting this one in loop stitch as well, and I will bring it and show it next week as I have more to show because it will be due at the end of next week, so I should be able to show you on the podcast. For spinning, I will probably pick up that braid from Kumasi, which was Berry Patch, and I can see it. It's in front of me. Pinks, oranges, reds, or I think it's called Berry Season. It's just kind of lovely berry patch tones, and I am excited to spin that one. So that will hop on the wheel next, and I hope that will be this week, but if not, it will be the week after. So I think that's what's going on here. Are you dreaming of fall knits? Are you getting ready for fall? I know the temperatures are still really warm out, but fall is my favorite season, not just because it's knitting season, but I like it when the air is chilly and I can cuddle up in warm, cozy knits. I'm starting to think about holiday gifts. I'm certainly already working on things for the children. Roxy is mostly set for hats and scarves and mittens this year. My sister told me she has plenty that fit her, but Miles has had a huge growth spurt and nothing that I knit for him fits. So he's going to be getting hats, mittens, scarves, and then both children, their feet have grown, so they need new socks and slippers. So that's going to figure into a lot of my projects. I have a couple sweaters I would like to knit. I have a couple shawls I would like to knit. Plus, I'm sure there will be more samples. I don't have anything else that's like right on the horizon that I have yarn for yet, but I'm sure more will come in. I have my, what is it called? I have the sweater that I knit in the Allegria mini skeins, and the it's by Queen Reverendo, and I'm blanking on the name, but I have the sweater that I knit the yoke and all of the body for, and it still needs arms, so that's also on my next to pick up list. I just want to knit all day long. If I didn't have to work, I would knit all day long, but I also wouldn't be able to pay for yarn or fiber, so there's that. Okay. I am going to leave you now. I hope wherever you are in good health. You are enjoying the seasons and prepping for the change of seasons. I hope you have found some projects that are letting you pursue your creative passion. And I hope that above all, you are well. So I will say, as I always do, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.